Hey guys, what's up? Target here, and today we will be focusing on the high-tech district. You know, the place where all of those rich scientists and software engineers making $500,000 per year hang out, while average people are grinding, making YouTube videos, treating it as a second job, trying to make a spare change. Yeah. But anyway, today we will be focusing on the residential part of that district, and we'll be bringing the first residents into the area. For this layout, I wanted it to follow a grid design, as usual, but I wanted it to be quite unique. Being a premium area, so to say, I wanted the buildings to have a lot of room to breathe between themselves, with a lot of pathways and a lot of green areas. I avoid zoning the buildings directly onto the main avenues that are going to be the main arterials of the layout, so I built some dedicated zones for this particular neighborhood. I also add some dedicated city service buildings such as a small park with trees, a high school, an elementary school, a fire and a police station. I will also be needing to focus on health, so I built a hospital complex to the left side of the layout with a set of crematoriums and also a cemetery. A bit further north, I build a dedicated layout for leisure, and I place these vertical farms that come with the high-tech buildings DLC. I think they fit the area quite nicely, and I place 6 of them, even though I may eventually delete a couple of them and leave only 4. I think this is overdoing it. And I place the nanotechnology center right next to them. So I'm kinda building a complex dedicated to this nanotechnology center, as if the vertical farms are part of the same complex, so to say. I finish up the layout by placing the software development studio right next to the railroad in a dedicated road that I built right next to it, and also the research center. After piping down the whole thing with water and also some power, we can then let the simulation run and let the first people come and live in their new multi-million-dollar houses. But before I do that, I also draw my district. The default name for this district was Prospect Heights. Because I didn't know what to name this entire region, I simply adopted the name and I call it Prospect, because I'm a very original person when it comes to naming, and I name the entire area as the Central Prospect, and I apply the high-tech housing policy to this district because, you know, it's a high-tech region, so I want the houses to be high-tech as well. Before focusing on decoration, I also add a pathway network. So I place some pathways between the main avenues and arterials of the layout and also the neighborhoods themselves, just to give a little bit of structure and also to give a lot more options for people to walk between places. I think it makes the entire area look nicer. It kinda looks like a circuit board when looked from above. And then we focus on decoration. And for this I'm just placing a lot of trees, I'm trying to follow a specific pattern, so as you can see I'm placing the exact same tree but spaced equally on the residential neighborhood. I don't want to go overboard with trees, so I leave a lot of empty spaces in between where people can come and hang out and throw a frisbee or play with their dog, things like that. Perhaps this is also a good opportunity for me to speak a little bit about today's video sponsor, which is none other than myself. So I've been a little bit active on Facebook and I have been posting sneak peeks of future design and manage videos. These are very short videos, like about 3 minutes, and I usually post them before that particular week's episode of Design and Manage. So if you're interested in knowing what's going to happen in beforehand and want to have access to sneak peeks of future videos, make sure to follow me on Facebook at Target Gaming for that kind of stuff. Going back to today's video, you might notice that all the unique buildings that I have, the Nanotechnology Center, the Software Development Studio and the Research Center, are all turned off for the time being. I've noticed I was having quite a bit of problems with budget, sometimes I was even going into the red zone, which is bad. So I'm gonna keep these buildings turned off for the time being until we have a more development in this area that actually requires the leisure that these buildings provide. So I think when I finally build my regional train station and also my regional bus hub, and I provide more options for tourists to come and visit the city, I will finally enable these buildings, but for the time being they will be turned off. I also placed big clusters of trees on key locations, so for example I enclosed the entire cemetery and crematorium complex with some oaks. I believe this area deserves a lot of privacy, and I also place a lot of oaks between the layout and the avenue itself to dissipate noise pollution. And here's a couple of shots of the final work. This is how everything has turned out. I've ended up removing a couple of those vertical farms, so now we only have 4 of those, but everything else has remained practically the same. There's not going to be a live gameplay of today's episode, and that will make the episode a bit short today, and I apologize for that, but I've been very busy this week. But hopefully you have enjoyed the building process of today's video and you've ended up liking the final result, which is always the most important part. That's gonna be it from me today, and I will meet you next week for the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and as always, have fun!